What's up, everyone? I'm Alex Newhouse here at E3 2016. I'm here with Mike Mahardy, who just played Halo Wars 2.
Yeah.
How was it, Mike?
It's kind of different from Halo Wars 1, but it's also kind of very similar. Like Halo Wars 1 was more of an RTS game made for Halo fans, and not really the deepest RTS game. But in doing so, Ensemble Studios, who made Halo Wars, they succeeded, right? They made this game that Halo fans could really sink into, and kind of, it was very accessible for console controls and the controller. With Halo Wars 2, it's Creative Assembly, known probably for their work on, the Total War series. So they're a very experienced RTS developer. Now they're kind of, taking the reins of the Halo Wars franchise. And it kind of shows, right, that experience, because you have more units that are kind of diverse in how you actually position them, how you can kind of flank, how these units kind of play between each other. It's not the same basic rock, paper, scissors framework of the first game. That's there, but it's also much deeper this time around.
And one of the big draws of Halo Wars, the original one, was that it was an RTS on a console, and for that, it played pretty well. How does this one feel on the Xbox?
It still feels pretty good on Xbox One. The chief thing being that this is also on PC now, right? They're pushing Windows 10, and then after the Microsoft press conference, anything you get on one will also be available on the other. So that's huge because, you have control groups, right? When you're playing on PC, you have the mouse moving around the screen. It's much more intuitive and flows much better. Now that I have the PC to compare to the Xbox One, I don't see myself playing on Xbox One, but Xbox One players will be set. It still feels great. You hold RB to select all your units. You double tap it to select a unit of that type on screen. It's pretty basic. You're just moving the analog stick to pressing X to move, to execute a command. Holding L trigger to pull up the command options like the Mac Blast or the Lotus Mines you could drop, or the ODST, which is my favorite, just drop the Hell Jumpers in. It feels great on both. I prefer the PC. There are some little tweaks that I noticed that they don't have yet. Like I couldn't just hover over the minimap and tell my units where to go on that. I had to actually go to where I wanted them to go and then click it, which is kind of, again, that's just the RTS fan of me speaking. There's some minor things I'd like to see, but overall it's a pretty positive experience. I played Strongholds.
Okay.
Kind of comparing it to like the domination mode in a shooter, right? There's these 7 outposts in between all your bases, and it pretty much forces you to be aggressive. And I'm traditionally a turtle player, so I kind of got out of my comfort zone, which I like. You take these outposts, if you can get 7 and hold it for a minute, you win, or when timer runs out, the more outposts you have, you win. So that was just the one game mode they had available for us.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Halo nerd, so I'm super interested in this story. When does Halo Wars 2 story take place? Does it take place right after Halo Wars 1?
So yeah, they're calling it a direct sequel. It's
Okay.
28 years after, so ostensibly that'd be before Reach falls, right?
I believe so, yeah.
The new faction is the Banished. I don't know too much. The leader is, so they're a brute faction. The leader is Atriox, and he uses Covenant weaponry, although their name implies they're not associated with the Covenant. And then you have, the UNSC and kind of the interplay between them. I'm really curious as to what the actual story will cover, right? Because this is kind of that gap between Halo Wars, which is the earliest in the chronologically in the games, and then you have, Halo Fall of Reach, or Reach is the next one. So it's interesting to see how they'll bridge that gap, but right now we don't know a ton, so I'm kind of looking forward to finding out more.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out more about the story in the coming months. When does it come out again?
February of next year.
Cool, but in the meantime, you can keep an eye on GameSpot for more news about all games coming out of E3 2016.